About 248,000 Floridian men and women served in the armed forces during World War II. Dozens of military bases were established or expanded in the state. They hosted hundreds of thousands of military recruits who came to train for their roles in the war. Many of these people returned to Florida after the war as visitors or even as new residents, fueling a major population boom for the Sunshine State. Florida's civilian population had an important role to play. They volunteered for civil defense tasks like patrolling the coastline and watching the skies for enemy aircrafts. Florida families conserved food and collected scrap metal and other materials to be recycled into goods for the war effort. There were many important events during Florida's role in World War II. Because Florida had so much land to offer in the 1940s, many soldiers were sent to Florida to train and prepare for the war. Off of Florida's Gulf and Atlantic coast, many American ships were struck by German submarines known as U-boats. Germans were able to send spies into Florida from a place near Jacksonville. Military industries were being built, which required many men to build, giving many jobs to unemployed people. Women became part of the workforce when the men left for the war. Florida became known as the top citrus state for the very first time. Many men returned home after the war. They came home to ample job opportunities, some being with the new military base known as MacDill. The first image is of soldiers performing training exercises on the beach during World War II, taking place in Miami Beach, Florida. The next image is of the F-6F Hellcat pilots in Vero Beach during World War II. The last image is an aerial view of Camp Blanding, which is in Clay County, Florida. Florida's involvement in World War II is very important to the history of Florida. World War II helped to renew Florida's economy. Because of its landscape and mild climate, the state became a major training site for men and women in the military. Airports and roads were constructed. This prepared the state for a large increase in population after the war. World War II provided the greatest economic growth in American history. The war effort sent large amounts of money into Florida, leading to rebuilding and even growth after the Great Depression. War contracts helped to rebuild Florida's manufacturing, agriculture, and tourism businesses. We chose a student activity that covers the social studies standards for first grade, and it is SS1A12. Understand how to use the Media Center/other sources to find answers to questions about a historical topic. This activity comes from the Exploring Florida, Florida History curriculum. And with this activity, the students will each get a few different things. They will get a 3-page handout that discusses the military installations in Florida, the events that took place in World War II, the economic stimulus for Florida, service and sacrifice, and the events that happened after the war. The students will also receive a blank copy of the state of Florida, as well as access to a handout or website of the military bases throughout the state. For the activity, the students will read the first passage, which takes place on the first page, the military installations in Florida, and highlight the military bases, installations, and facilities that were used at this point. The teacher will either read this aloud based on the student's ability or age group, or the students can read it themselves. As they go through, they will then highlight. Because Florida had a warm climate and a lot of vacant land available, it was ideal for the building of military bases and training soldiers. In the 1930s, there was a tremendous growth of military establishments throughout Florida. Florida soon had 172 military installations, ranging from both extremely large to relatively small camps. Two of the larger complexes were Camp Blanding, established near Starkey, and the Jacksonville Naval Air Station. Camp Blanding became Florida's fourth largest city during World War II. It grew to 180,000 acres and housed 55,000 soldiers at a time. Additional naval stations were reactivated at Key West, Drew, and MacDill airfields in Tampa, Elgin Field, and Valparaiso, and then Pensacola Naval Air Base. Two of the smaller camps were Sopchoppy Bombing Range and the Immokalee Army Airfield. By mid-1940s, there were 40 airfields actively training military personnel throughout the state. Florida's weather conditions and flat land made it the perfect place for training, especially pilots. By 1942, America's training facilities in Florida were heavily overcrowded. This led to military taking over many hotel facilities. Among the hotels were the Don Cesar in St. Petersburg, the Hollywood Beach Hotel, the Breakers in Fort Lauderdale, the Biltmore Hotel in Coral Gables, and several hundred other hotels and motels throughout Florida. Some of the places were used for barracks, and the others were taken over as makeshift hospitals for injured military personnel sent from overseas. After reading the passage and highlighting the military installations in Florida, the students will then take their blank copy of the state and start filling it in with the different camps, naval, and air stations, as well as the hotels that served as military facilities due to overcrowding.